welcome back. Halloween is coming soon, so I thought I would dress appropriately. Today, I have a new adjective for you. I am going to try and keep these lessons a little bit shorter. I have noticed that most people have very short attention spans. So I'm going to try to keep these lessons as short as I reasonably can. Let's get started. So we're going to practice using this adjective, 欲しい, 欲しい. Let's take a look at this sentence. First, take a moment and see if you can read it on your own. Pause if you need to. It says, 食べ物が欲しいです. 食べ物 means food. Looking at this picture of this little girl, what do you think 欲しい means? She's a thought bubble. She's thinking of some bread and a banana. She's kind of drooling. I think she might be hungry. So what does she want? She wants food. 欲しい means want. It uses the exact same sentence pattern as 好き and 嫌い. Right? You have the thing that you want or the thing that you like, then が followed by your adjective. If I changed 欲しい to 好き, 食べ物が好きです. I like food, which is true. I do like food. However, there is a big difference between the adjectives 好き and 嫌い, which are both na adjectives, and 欲しい, which is an e adjective. Now, we are going to talk in more detail about this later. We're not ready for that yet. We're just going to kind of scratch the surface today. So don't think about it too much. But 欲しい is an e adjective. An e adjective is a true adjective. It will always end with e, and they can be placed directly in front of the noun. They don't need anything else in order to modify a noun, right? They can go directly in front of it. To make an e adjective negative, we're going to drop the e and then add kunai. So you've already learned a couple of e adjectives. If you remember, there are 6 colors that have e adjective forms: red, blue, and yellow, and then also black, brown, and white. They all have an e adjective form. Here I have red, akai, because it is an e adjective. If I want to make it negative, first, we drop the e. Then we replace it with kunai. Akakunai means not red. Then we have another one underneath. Oishii. Oishii means delicious. It was one of your vocabulary words, right? Oishii. How can I make it negative? How can I say not delicious? First, drop the e, add kunai. Oishikunai. Not delicious. Now, kunai seems very, very similar to janai, right? But they're completely different and they are used in different ways. The grammar here is different. So let's take a look at it. Janai is a stand-alone word, right? We can use it with des to make it polite, but it can only be used with nouns and with na adjectives. So I've got 2 examples here. The first one, inu janai desu. Inu is a noun, so we use janai to make it negative. It's not a dog. Then we have ski. If you remember, we practiced using this in the last lesson. Ski is a na adjective, which again, we will talk about na adjectives later. Right now, don't worry about it. Just know that ski is a na adjective. So we do not use kunai with ski. We need to use janai instead. Suki janai desu, right? I don't like it. Kunai can only be used with e adjectives, and it is a part of the word, right? Janai is by itself. It's separate from all of the other words. We just put it in the sentence next to the words. But kunai is a part of the E adjective. It literally changes how it is spelled, right? The E has to come off. Kunai goes into place instead. So for the example here, I have atsui, which means hot, right? Drop the E, add kunai. Atsukunai desu. It's not hot. The actual word itself has been modified to mean not hot. Kunai is a part of atsui now. It does not exist by itself. Okay, let's look at a sample sentence. It has got 2 E adjectives in it. We're going to experiment with this sentence and try changing both of them so that you can see how it affects the translation. First, what does this sentence even say? I do already have the translation here. It means I want a new car. But what does it say in Japanese? Take a minute, see if you can read the hiragana that is here. Pause if you need to. Atarashii kuruma ga hoshii desu. Atarashii means new. Kuruma is car. Ga is our subject marker. Hoshii desu means want, right? I want a new car. First, we're going to experiment with the first word here, atarashii. If I want to change this to negative, what do I need to do? First, I'm going to drop the E, and then what do I need to add? Kunai. Atarashii kunai kuruma ga hoshii desu. Now, take a minute and think about what this one means. Remember that kunai affects the adjective that is attached to, right? So what word has kunai changed? Does this mean I don't want a new car? No, it doesn't. This is actually a big mistake that some students will make, is they want to change the very first adjective that they see. But if we change this adjective, what we've actually said now is I want a not new car. I want a car that isn't new. That's kind of a weird thing to say, both in Japanese and in English. That's a little bit weird. We would probably use the word old instead, like I want an old car, not a new car. A situation where you might use a sentence like this is like maybe you're gonna buy a car, but you don't want a new car, but you don't want an old car either. You want a not new car, a new-ish car, but not like a new car, you know? That might be a situation where you would use this sentence. But atarashii kunai, not new. Kuruma, car, not new car. I want it, right? I want a not new car. If instead I want to say I don't want a new car, I'm happy with my car, I don't want a new one. How would I say that? I don't want a new car. What do you think? The word I need to change is hoshii. What do I need to do to it? First, we drop the E, and then what do we add? Kunai. Atarashii kuruma ga hoshikunai desu. I don't want a new car. Okay, let's practice using some of your vocabulary words. I have an English sentence here. We're going to translate it into Japanese. Now, for me, the hardest thing is translating from English to Japanese. I can translate from Japanese into English all day. But translating the other way, from English into Japanese, for me, that's always been the most difficult thing. I don't know why. That's just what I personally have struggled with. So, we're going to practice it together. I want a cold water. Okay. So, remember that Japanese is backwards from English. You want to talk like Yoda a little bit. So, we need to say, a cold water, I want it. A cold water, I want it. What is the word that we use for cold to the touch. Remember that the word cold in Japanese has two different words. One of them is for the temperature. One of them is for like food, like cold to touch, food and drink, things like that. So what do you think? We have samui. Samui means cold. That one's for cold weather, right? It's cold outside. Outside is cold. For cold water, we need to say sumetai. So, sumetai. And then how do you say water? Do you remember? Mizu. So now we have sumetai mizu. And then we need a particle. What particle do we use? Ga. And then how do I say I want it? Hoshii desu. Hoshii. Sumetai mizu ga hoshii desu. I want a cold water. How about this one? Let's say that someone brought you a water, but it isn't cold. It isn't what you wanted. How can I say the water isn't cold? What is the topic? What are we talking about? What is the thing we're talking about? The water. So that needs to go first, right? Mizu wa. Now, how can I say it isn't cold? It isn't cold. Sumetai is cold. How do I make it negative? It's an E adjective. What do you think? Mizu wa sumetaku nai desu. This water isn't cold. All right, one more. We have, I don't want a black TV. I don't want a black TV. Maybe I want a pink one. I don't want a black one. How can I say? What is black? Do you remember? It's kuro. Kuro. How can I make it an E adjective? Kuroi terebi ga. Now, how can I say I don't want it? Kuroi terebi ga hoshiku nai desu. I don't want a black TV. All right, we have some new hiragana today. I don't have them all in a row like I usually do because this one was a little bit too big and I felt like you needed to see what it looked like standing up in order for this part to make sense. So I put it at the bottom instead. So as always, first let's go through and talk about their pronunciations. From the beginning, we have ha, he, hu, he, and ho. Ha, he, hu, he, ho. Now, this one here, this one's really tricky, and it kind of takes some getting used to. It is not a true F, but it's also not a true H. It is kind of in the middle. The easiest way to make this sound is to make the F sound, but don't bite your lip. Like, you know how we make the F sound, don't do that. Keep your mouth nice and loose, and then try to make that F sound. Hu, hu, ha, he, hu, he, ho. If you are having trouble with this, just think of it as being like a soft F. If you can make the F sound a little bit softer than normal, you can get away with that. The majority of the time, this character is depicted as an F, like on most keyboards. However, you will occasionally see it spelled with an H. But again, it's not really an H and it's not really an F either. It's kind of in the middle of the two. It's a little bit tricky at first, but you will get better at it with practice. So don't worry about it too much in the beginning. Just remember it as being closer to an F than it is to an H. So if you do make a true F sound, that is better than using an H sound. Ha is easy enough. It is just like ta and ka in that it looks the way that it sounds. This one's pretty easy to remember, so I'm not going to explain it any further than that. Next up, we have he. And he looks a little bit like a guy that has a really big nose, that maybe has the sniffles. Maybe he smelled some pepper. Maybe he is sick, but he's going, he, achoo! All right, so he has a cold in his big nose. He's making some funny noises because he needs to sneeze. He. Next up, we have Mount Fuji. Then we have another mountain, but a different mountain. This is the Himalaya Mountains, right? Himalaya Mountains. This last one is a little tricky at first, but it also has the sound written into the word. But we have to turn it sideways in order to accomplish that. Ho is only different from ha because of this line right here. So if we turn it sideways, we can still get that H, but now this is the H, right? In ha, this part is the H, right? And then ha is at the bottom. But in ho, the H is sideways, and our O is right here. Ho, and it's like being underlined, right? We're putting some emphasis on it. We're underlining it. Ho. And let's practice writing it. For ha, you're going to draw your first line down, tick it up, draw his arms. Then we're going to go straight down and make our letter A. Let's try it one more time. So you're going to draw it down and tick it up. Draw your arms, come down and draw your A. There we go. Ha. He is pretty easy. It's all just one line. So we're going to draw our first eye, right? Here's our big nose. And then our second eye. Let's do it one more time. There's your eye. Big nose. Another eye. He. This one is a little bit tricky and it takes some practice. So we're going to draw the smoke coming out of Mount Fuji first, right? Fuji is a volcano. So we're going to draw his smoke. And then we need to draw the center of the mountain. And then the side, which ticks inward. And then this one, which ticks a little bit outward. I know it's a little confusing. They're all very curvy. There's a lot going on. So let's try it one more time. Draw your smoke. Draw the center of your body. Draw the first side of your mountain. Draw the second side of your mountain. This one is a super duper easy. You just go whoop, whoop. Make sure that your second side is longer than your first one. And it is all one stroke. Hit, just like that, easy peasy. Last but not least, this one is exactly the same as ha, except it has two lines. So draw your side here, 2, and then 3. Draw your straight line down. Just like that. One more time, take it down at the top and in the middle. Draw your big line with your A. Hold. Now, things get a little bit interesting with the H's because they have not one, but 2 variations. First, let's look at the typical dakten. The daktens for the H's are all B's, so they become ba, bi, bu, be, bo. But we also have the handakten. The handakten is similar to the dakten, but it is only used for the characters in the H column, okay? It is usually just called a maru because it looks like a little circle, and it goes in the same spot as the dakten, like they go in the exact same spot. But instead of making it a B sound, it makes a P sound. So if you see the little circle, instead of the two little lines, then it is pa, pi, pu, pe, po. Pa, pi, pu, pe, po. This only works with the H's. The H is the only one that gets a handakten. Normally, I would have some practice for you, but like I said, I am going to try to make these a little bit shorter. And so instead, we're going to practice using them in the next lesson. I do, however, have some more homework for you. So, as always, take a picture, screenshot it, study it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.